Hello and welcome to Precon Decon, the video series where I deconstruct the pre-constructed decks of Magic the Gathering's history. This video we're going to start looking at Ravnica Allegiance. We're going to look at the first Planeswalker deck from that, which is Dovin, Architect of Law, which is a white and blue deck. If you're a long-time viewer of the channel, you will know that white-blue is my least favourite colour combination, but mild spoiler for the video, I actually quite like this one. So let's dive into that and see what this deck does to actually make me quite like it. So we've got 21 creatures, we've got 11 instants, single enchantment, 26 lands, and of course a single planeswalker. That planeswalker is Dovin, Architect of Law. So he's 4 white and a blue for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. That's fine. That's 6 mana for 5 loyalty is kind of what we expect. That's kind of the norm with these cards. So go through his abilities. So +1 is to gain 2 life and draw a card. That's fine. That's actually superior to some similar like blue planeswalkers we've had before, where it's just +1 to draw a card. So at least Dovin gives you a bit of life gain as well. His -1 is to tap a creature and it doesn't untap during its control's next untap step. So yeah, kind of like like a stun ability, which is all right. It sort of like means he can sort of protect himself by tapping down like a big creature, and then you don't have to worry about it for a turn. And then his -9, tap all permanents target opponent controls, and they skip their next untap step. So kind of like sleep, I suppose, but for everything. And yeah, that's pretty good. And obviously, then that leaves them kind of wide open for 2 turns if you do it. Obviously, main phase 1 for combat. So yeah, I actually quite like Dovin's abilities because I am a sucker for tap down effects. So yeah, good start here, I think. So we'll look at his signature cards now. So 2 Dovin's Dismissal, 2 white and a blue, instant speed, which actually makes it one of the very few instant speed search spells. Put up to 1 target tapped creature on top of its owner's library. This is really nice effect actually to do like a time ebb effect at instant speed. Really, really good, obviously, on like an attacking creature because it's essentially like a soft time walk ability because you lock them out of a new draw. And then you can search your library or graveyard for Dovin, Architect of Law, reveal it into hand and shuffle. Yeah, this is, I think, one of my. I mean, obviously, it's not a straight up kill spell, but it messes with tempo, doesn't it? And I say, most importantly, it's at instant speed, which means you can do this, potentially during an opponent's turn, search up Dovin and then cast him on your next turn, which is pretty good. Yeah, so I think this is a pretty good card, honestly. 3 Dovin's Automaton, though, this kind of brings it down a little bit. So 4 mana for 3/3. It's kind of like, again, like all these disappointing buddy cards. Well, at least it's 4 colours for a 3/3, I suppose. As long as you control a Dovin Planeswalker, it's +2/+2 has Vigilance. So it goes up to being a 5/5 Vigilance, which is obviously fairly beefy. But again, it's just a bit disappointing, isn't it? It's just fine. And then 4 Elite Arrester. So a single white mana for a 0/3, so nice beefy toughness. And I'm an absolute sucker for this. It's essentially a Master Decoy. Again, long-time viewers know how much I like a Master Decoy ability. So 1 and a blue, tap target creature. Brilliant. And there's a few cards in this deck which that goes really, really nicely with Dovin's tap abilities anyway. So yeah, obviously this combos with Dovin's Dismissal as well, which is really nice. This is this is great, and there's 4 of them, and it's amazing. It's really nice turn 1 play to have like a 0/3 defender anyway. Not literally a defender, but you know what I mean. And then late game, just taps down big creatures, stops big attackers, gets big blockers out of the way. Yeah, it's great. It's great. As I said, I'm a sucker for tap down effects. But it's not just tap down effects. We've also actually got a genuine blue-white skies deck, which like I just don't think we've had like for a really long time. It feels like. The last time I think it was maybe the Shadows of Innistrad one. There was the blue-white spirits one, which was kind of blue-white skies. Just obviously so many spirits have flying, but this is an actual proper. This feels like a really good one. So we've got 2 Spirit of the Spires, 3 and a white for a 2/4 with flying, which is like decent stats anyway. Gives other creatures you control with flying +0/+1. And then you've got 2 Windstorm Drakes, which is 4 and a blue for 3/3 with flying. All your other creatures with flying get +1/+0. So this is really, really nice. It's just such a simple little effect, but I really appreciate like these kind of like these flying tribal lords, essentially tribal flying. Yeah, really, really nice. I really like there's 2 of these as well, which is great. Yeah, I could easily see them being we'll include one of each in the deck, but no, there's 2, which is great. Then we've got 2 Senate Couriers. 2 and a blue for a 1/4 flying. You can pay 1 and a white to give it vigilance in turn 10. which is great. Having vigilance on something with like toughness 4, which means it can kind of swing in, do a little poke, and then it's still around to block next turn with its considerable 4 toughness. So that's really nice. Can obviously be tougher when you get Spirit of the Spires, or it can be even stronger when it hits because of Windstorm Drake. Oh, I just love it. I just love it. We've got a single Chillbreaker. 4 and a blue for 3/3 flyer. When it ends the battlefield, tap target creature and opponent controls. It doesn't tap during its controls next untap step. So yep, Frost Links, but with flying. So yeah, this is nice. I like this as well. Again, just a sucker for tap down effects, and it's like a decently sized flyer as well. So yeah, that's okay. We've got 3 Concordia Pegasus, 1 and white for a 1/3 flyer. Yep, just straightforward again, but it's nice and cheap, and you know, good high toughness as well, which is always good. And then a single Azorius Knight Arbiter, 3 a white and a blue. Doesn't have flying, but he is unblockable, and it's 2/5 with vigilance. Again, really like a high toughness creature with vigilance, so it just can swing and then block the next turn. It's just great. Yeah, it's really like actually this. Kind of actually really wish there'd been more Azorius Knight Arbiter as well, because it's just very solid creature. And then like a little bit of chaff here. So a single 10th District Veteran, 2 and a white for a 2/3 Vigilance, and whenever it attacks, untap another target creature you control. I say chaff, that's actually like fairly good. Because you know, just it essentially gives one of your other creatures like pseudo vigilance. So yeah, this is okay actually. I actually quite like this. And then 2 Prowling Caracal, just 1 white for a 3/1. We've seen that stat line like a load of times. Yeah, gotta have something on the ground, I suppose, that you can potentially play. There's actually one of the highest power creatures in the deck because everything else is actually fairly pillow-fisted, but it's all evasive, which is really nice. Right, and then non-creature spells. So one of the res in the deck is Unbreakable Formation, and this shows off the new Azorius keyword. So 2 and a white. For instant speed, creatures you control get indestructible until end of turn. Just board-wide indestructible for 3 mana is pretty solid. But it has the new Azorius keyword Addendum. And this is actually really interesting. I really like Addendum, actually. So if you cast this spell during your main phase, put a +1/+1 counter on each of those creatures, and they get Vigilance until end turn. So it's this really nice flexibility of, like, it's a bit of a skill test on you, because, like, at instant speed, giving obviously all your stuff indestructible can be pretty backbreaking, you know, just like dodge maybe a big sweep spell, or, you know, just make combat kind of a pain for your opponent. But if you do this you know, main phase 1, and then you go into combat, then all your stuff's got +1/+1 counters, and they're vigilant, and they're indestructible. You know, the downside being, of course, is, you know, opponents seeing it coming. Not that they probably do anything about it, but like they're sort of then aware of it. There's no kind of springing this in the middle of combat. But the fact you can do it during an opponent's turn as well, and get the smaller effect, I think Addendum's like a really fun keyword. Like, it's a nice, I say, it's a nice kind of skill test mechanic, isn't it? And then we've got a single Verity Circle, so 2 and a blue enchantment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped and it isn't declared as an attacker, you can draw a card. So this combos with, well, you got all the Arresters, you got Dovin's ability, you got, yeah, a few things that tap stuff down in the deck, the Chillbringer as well. So this is really, really, really nice. And what I also really like is that if you don't have anything that does tap down, it has an ability 4 and a blue, tap target creature that flying. So it can still, you know, do that itself, and you're essentially paying 4 and a blue to tap a creature and draw a card. So this is really, really nice. I really like this card. Yeah, this is, and as I say, I'm a sucker for tap down effects. So something that rewards tap down effects, I think, is like really nice design. I think it's a nice sort of design space to work in. We've got a single Sphinx's Insight, 2 a white and a blue for an instant, draw 2 cards, but it has Addendum. If you cast it during your main phase, you gain 2 life. So yeah, if you cast it at sorcery speed, 2 life and 2 cards for 4 mana is okay. But I think, again, doing it like at 4 mana at instant speed to draw 2 cards, I know that's been power crept now anyway by quick study, but yeah, at the time I think that would have been okay, especially at common. I think that's okay. Yeah. And then 3 Arrested Zeal, 1 white mana, give a creature +2/+2 turn, but again it has Addendum. If you cast it during your main phase, it gets flying till end turn, so turn it into an evasive threat. Kind of like you've already got a lot of flyers in the deck, honestly, so I don't know how much benefit playing it with Addendum is, but you know, doesn't hurt, I suppose, to have it as an option. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, I suppose, if you need that extra evasive creature to fly over. Really nice, there's 3 of them as well, because it's just a 1 mana buff spell, which is really nice. Helps some of those pillow-fisted flyers hit a bit harder. 2 Summary Judgments, 1 and a white, does 3 damage target tapped creature, so nice little interaction there. But Addendum, if you cast it during your main phase, it does 5 damage to that creature instead. So 2 mana for 5 damage Oh, it's got to be a tapped creature. So I was going to say, like, oh my god, that's amazing for like in white, like an actual genuine white burn spell. Again, I would say this is okay at instant speed, and it's either it's fine. So yeah, again, I think this is like a really perfectly good spell at common. Like it feels really quite strong actually as a good bit of white removal. And then 2 Code of Constraint, 2 and a blue, instant type creature gets -4 turn, and you draw a card, which is nice that tax on that. Addendum, if you cast it during your main phase, tap the creature, and it doesn't untap during controller's next untap step. So those are kind of like at odds with each other, because generally if you're like tapping it, and it's not going to untap, then you don't really care about its power going down, because the only reason you care about like the power drop is that like it's going to block something, or it's attacking you. But if you're doing it in your main phase, if it's tapping, you're getting out of the way anyway. But at least there's the options there. It's kind of modal in what it does. And then 4 Azorius Guildgates comes in play tapped, gives you white or blue, and then 12 planes and 10 islands. So yeah, I actually I do really actually like this one, because it seems to be put together like pretty confidently. I can't really think of any cards in there that like feel like the Caracal maybe, but that's still like it's still a 2-mana 3/1. It's not dreadful. It's just boring. But yeah, there's, I say, always potentials for extra rares. I do think the rares in here are pretty good, but maybe that oh god, what was it called? The Unbreakable Formation. Maybe Sphinx of Foresight, maybe. So 2 and double blue for a 4/4 flying. Has anything that like has an ability that like activates before the game begins. I'm a sucker for as well. You may reveal it from your opening hand if you do Scry 3 at the beginning of your first upkeep, which is it's just a really fun ability. Getting to Scry 3 before the game even starts. But it's a 4/4 flyer for 4, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you get a free Scry 1 every turn. That could have been pretty solid. Dovin's Acuity is an option here. It's an enchantment. So 1, a white and a blue. When it ends the battlefield, you gain 2 life and draw a card. Whenever you cast an instant spell during your main phase, to go with all the addendum cards, you can return Dovin's Acuity to Designer's hand. So it's a little it's a little dirtly, I suppose, because it is just 2 life, draw a card, back to hand, cast it again. So maybe a little dirtly. But I thought just suggest it anyway. And then Law Mage's Binding. This is the thing, we've got kind of like a white blue deck with no kind of like arrest effects, plenty of tap down effects, but no arrest effects, which I'm also a sucker for. So 1 colours, 1 white, 1 blue. Aura goes on the creature, it's got flash. And it's literally arrest, but with flash and being 2 colours, and that's always solid. And then just like more flyers, there's so many good flyers, I think, that could have been in the deck. I mean, what's in here is already solid, but I say there's a lot of good options here. So Sphinx of New Prav, double white, double blue for a 4/3 with flying and vigilance, and essentially ward 2. It's not quite ward 2 because it doesn't stop abilities, but it's kind of like proto ward. Like anything like that is always pretty good. Azoria Skyguard, 4, a white and a blue for a 3/3 with flying and first strike, and gives all your opponent's creatures -1/-0. So just a kind of board-wide shrink effect is nice. Cumberstone is what I'm thinking of, from Alara. And then Senate Griffin, 2 and 2 Azorius hybrid mana for 3/2 flying, and when it ends the battlefield, Scry 1. That's perfectly serviceable, I think, for 4 mana. So yeah, I mean, I know I said like, oh, there was a lot that could have gone in here, but like, I think what's in here is actually really solid as like a white-blue kind of soft control skies deck. I actually think it's put together pretty well, and I don't normally say that about white-blue decks because I say it is my least favorite color combination, but I think this one actually is pretty good. I actually would have been pretty interested in picking this one up and playing it because it's got a lot of things I like about white-blue. It does my favorite things, and considering some of the white-blue decks we've seen in this series, I think this one's actually really strong by comparison. But I'd love to know, obviously, what you think about this one. If you've got any thoughts or comments or stories, opinions about the deck or any of the cards in it, like what do you think of Addendum as a mechanic? I think it's pretty cool, but I'd like to hear what other people think of it. Stick a comment below. I'll give those a read, but we'll be back next time. Go look at the other Ravnica Allegiance Planeswalker deck. But until then, thanks for watching and listening, and have a great day.